What if tomorrow money stopped working? Not disappeared, but completely lost its value. You walk into a shop and there are no prices. The cashier cannot tell you what anything costs, because money itself no longer has meaning. You cannot buy food, fuel, or transport. Within hours, supply chains begin to break down. This scenario may sound unrealistic, but similar events have occurred throughout history during periods of hyperinflation and economic collapse. Money is not just paper or numbers. It is a system of trust built over thousands of years. That system allows goods, services, and entire economies to function smoothly. To understand how powerful money is today, it is necessary to understand how it developed, step by step, across human history. The earliest form of economic exchange in human history was barter, which developed during the Neolithic period, beginning around 10,000 BC. As humans transitioned from hunting and gathering to agriculture, they began producing surplus goods such as crops and livestock. This surplus made trade possible. People exchanged items directly, for example, grain for tools or animals for clothing. However, barter had significant limitations. It depended on what economists later described as a double coincidence of wants, meaning both parties needed to want what the other offered at the same time. As populations increased and trade networks expanded, this system became inefficient. There was no standard measure of value, making it difficult to compare goods fairly. These limitations created the need for a more structured and reliable system of exchange. By approximately 3000 BC, early civilizations began using commodity money, items that had intrinsic value and were widely accepted in exchange. In Mesopotamia, barley and other grains were used as units of value and stored in large granaries. In parts of Africa and Asia, cowrie shells became one of the earliest widely circulated currencies due to their durability and ease of transport. In the Roman world, salt was so valuable that it was sometimes used as payment, which is where the modern word salary originates. Livestock, including cattle and sheep, also represented wealth in many societies. While commodity money improved trade compared to barter, it still presented challenges, including difficulties in storage, transport, and standardization, which led to further innovations in monetary systems. The first standardized metal coins were introduced in the Kingdom of Lydia, located in modern-day Turkey, around 650 to 600 BC, during the reign of Alyattes of Lydia. These coins were made from electrum, a naturally occurring alloy of gold and silver, and were stamped with official symbols to guarantee their authenticity and weight. This innovation solved many of the problems associated with earlier systems of exchange. Coins were durable, portable, and divisible, making them ideal for trade. The concept of coinage quickly spread to Greek city-states, which developed their own currencies such as the drachma. This marked a major turning point in economic history, as money became standardized and widely accepted. The Roman Empire developed one of the most advanced monetary systems in the ancient world. Around 211 BC, the silver denarius became the primary currency used across the empire. This standardized coin allowed Rome to pay its soldiers, fund massive construction projects such as roads and aqueducts, and collect taxes efficiently across vast territories. Roman roads connected cities across Europe, North Africa, and parts of Asia, enabling trade to expand on an unprecedented scale. Merchants could now travel long distances with confidence that their currency would be accepted. However, by the 3rd century AD, financial strain began to affect the system. The government reduced the silver content in coins, a process known as debasement, to produce more currency. This led to inflation, rising prices, and declining trust in money. The Roman monetary system demonstrates both the strength and vulnerability of early financial systems. Paper money first developed in China during the Tang Dynasty, 618 to 907 AD, and became widely used during the Song Dynasty, 960 to 1279 AD. However, it reached a new level of importance under Kublai Khan in the 13th century. The Mongol Empire required people to accept paper currency for trade across its vast territories. This made commerce easier, especially along the Silk Road, where merchants no longer needed to carry heavy metal coins over long distances. Travelers such as Marco Polo documented the widespread use of paper money in China, describing it as a remarkable system. However, the system also faced challenges. Excessive printing of paper currency led to inflation, reducing its value. This period shows both the innovation and risks of government-controlled money systems. During the 15th century, banking systems in Europe became more organized and influential, particularly in the city of Florence. The Medici family, led by figures such as Cosimo de' Medici, built one of the most powerful financial networks in Europe. They established banks in multiple cities and introduced innovations such as double-entry bookkeeping, which improved financial accuracy and accountability. Banks began offering loans, deposits, and currency exchange services, allowing merchants to conduct trade without physically carrying large amounts of money. This system supported the expansion of trade across Europe and contributed to the economic growth of the Renaissance. Banking transformed money from a simple exchange tool into a complex financial system. Between the 16th and 17th centuries, global trade expanded dramatically as European powers explored and colonized new regions. Large quantities of silver were mined in the Americas, particularly in Spanish-controlled areas such as Potosi, and transported to Europe and Asia. This silver became a key component of global trade, especially in transactions with China, where demand for silver was high. Trade routes connected continents, allowing goods such as spices, textiles, and precious metals to circulate worldwide. This period marked the early development of a global economy. However, the increased supply of silver also contributed to inflation in Europe, known as the price revolution, demonstrating how changes in money supply can affect economic stability. In October 1929, the stock market crash in the United States triggered the Great Depression, one of the most severe economic downturns in modern history. Between 1930 and 1933, thousands of banks failed, causing millions of people to lose their savings. Businesses closed, production declined, and unemployment rose sharply, reaching approximately 25% in the United States by 1933. The crisis spread globally, affecting economies in Europe and beyond. Governments responded by introducing financial reforms, including banking regulations and economic recovery programs such as the New Deal in the United States. This period highlighted the vulnerability of financial systems and the importance of regulation in maintaining economic stability. From the 1970s onward, money began transitioning from physical forms to digital systems. One of the earliest developments was the introduction of automated teller machines, or ATMs, first used in 1967 in London. These machines allowed individuals to withdraw cash without visiting a bank. During the 1980s and 1990s, credit cards and electronic payment systems became increasingly common, enabling faster and more convenient transactions. Banks adopted computer networks to process payments, and online banking emerged in the late 20th century, allowing people to manage their finances remotely. Today, most financial transactions occur electronically, with money existing primarily as digital data stored in secure systems. In July 1944, representatives from 44 countries met at the Bretton Woods Conference in the United States to create a new global monetary system after World War II. The agreement established a system in which currencies were linked to the US dollar, and the dollar itself was tied to gold at a fixed rate of $35 per ounce. This system aimed to provide stability in international trade and prevent the economic crises that had occurred during the early 20th century. Institutions such as the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank were created to support global economic cooperation. However, by the late 1960s, increasing economic pressures made it difficult for the United States to maintain the gold standard. In 1971, President Richard Nixon ended the convertibility of the dollar into gold, effectively ending the Bretton Woods system and transitioning the world to modern fiat currencies. In 2009, a new form of money emerged with the creation of Bitcoin by the pseudonymous figure Satoshi Nakamoto. Unlike traditional currencies issued by governments and controlled by central banks, Bitcoin operates on a decentralized system known as blockchain technology. This system records transactions across a network of computers, ensuring transparency and reducing the need for intermediaries such as banks. Over time, thousands of other cryptocurrencies have been developed, each with different features and uses. Cryptocurrencies have introduced new debates about financial systems, regulation, and the future of money. While still evolving, they represent a significant development in the long history of monetary systems, reflecting a shift toward digital and decentralized finance. The history of money spans thousands of years and reflects the development of human civilization itself. From the early barter systems of 10,000 BC to the use of commodity money, the introduction of coins in 600 BC, and the rise of paper currency in China, each stage addressed the limitations of earlier systems. The growth of banking in medieval Europe, the expansion of global trade between the 16th and 17th centuries, and the establishment of modern financial systems further transformed how money was used. Events such as the Great Depression demonstrated the vulnerabilities of economic systems, while developments like digital banking and cryptocurrencies show how money continues to evolve. Today, money exists largely as digital data, yet it remains a fundamental part of global society. Understanding its history provides insight into how economies function and how financial systems may continue to change in the future.